try and keep this brief. It's raining. Very windy. Okay, so here. Put the sage hood up. That way you don't have to slug up my teeth. Whoa. Okay, so a little bit of political assessment. I haven't done one of these for a while. Here's the thing. As far as we can tell, Sessions was a do-nothing. I would guess that Huber is probably also a do-nothing. If the Inspector General's report was any indication for the DOJ IG, what's his name, Horowitz, his report came out. Supposedly there's a bunch of damning information, but nobody ever acted on it, and it was heavily edited and redacted before being released. So all the people that got onto the TV talk shows and the pundits and the talking heads, and they talked about, oh, this upcoming and this stuff, and it was just a bunch of hoorah. And when it came to it, nothing burger. So I'm not saying that I don't expect something, because, I mean, it looks like they're definitely moving in that direction, but Trump can huff and puff about, we need to go after this and look at this and whatever, and the fact is, the way the system actually works, the Department of Justice will go look at it, and they'll say, well, we didn't find anything, and the president kind of has to say, okay then, I guess, even if it's not right. Unless they can prove that there's malfeasance, they can prove that the DOJ is involved in some sort of collusion to cover it up. And thus far, every time that happens, the intelligence agencies come out that they are moderately or overly confident, or whatever their assessment is, on their confidence rating on something, that it's correct. And then again, because of the way checks and balances and the actual way that the government is laid out, the president then kind of just has to take their word unless there is proof. But since that was the whole looking for proof of malfeasance, they come back, this is that deep state that they talk about. It's bureaucratic quicksand. It's quagmire. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see some things happen. I would love to be wrong about a lot of things, but at this point I don't see it. There's not reason to be, to be thinking that. It's thus far, every time they have even attempted to go after someone, it has really just been publicity. So now that we're post midterms, all these politicians that got voted in want to prove that they're going to do what they promised they would do, just like Trump did when he got into office. He did a bunch of little shit just to prove that he was, fulfilling his promises. And it was a bunch of technicality stuff. It wasn't really like, sweeping overt changes, or, he talked a big game, and when it came to it, he set people to do work, and then we never heard anything back much after that. That's like that, the cell phone battery plant or whatever. What was that? Foxconn. That's their name. They're notorious for that, for making a big hoopla about the thing they're doing, and they set the thing up and everybody shakes hands and takes pictures and hands over the big fake cardboard check. And then about 5 weeks after that, when everybody's moved on to something else, they cancel the deal and move out. That's the thing. So basically, that's kind of the same. It's almost a bait and switch. That's kind of what they do with politics. They do this every time there's a midterm election, and people make some stupid promises, and afterward you have, in this case we've got people making fun of Ocasio-Cortez, and then we've got, all of these Republicans and Democrats talking their game about the Democrats have the House, now the Republicans have one more thing they could do December 5th, and everyone's like, oh, December 5th is Michael Flynn's birthday. And so, okay, cool. Like, there is a tremendous amount of coincidences lining up, which could indicate that there's something big about to happen. However, this would only be a likelihood if you ignore all previous history. And I'm not talking history book history. I'm talking about our own experiences, the things that we've seen. You can look up these documented events. So what I'm talking about is, after the midterm election, they're going to make a hoopla like they're going to go after the Clinton Foundation. Okay, but what if they just go before Congress and say, we didn't find anything wrong? And then Congress says, well, prove it. And that's a negative. You can't prove a negative. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a subject that we were speaking about several weeks ago or a month or something, right? Like, this keeps coming back around. So we are looking at propaganda. We are looking at manufactured consent. We are looking at limited choices to vote between to begin with. And everyone that gets in is either co-opted or corrupted somehow. Or they just never intended to do anything, or the system sandbags the whole process and nothing can ever happen. This is the thing that I'm seeing. So, while I would love to see some serious crackdown on charity fraud and pay for play, which there is proof that it happened, but somebody has to prove a damage and file a charge, and only a person who can claim to be a victim can file the charge. You can't just file on behalf of someone just because you see the thing, even though the law was broken, because if that was the case, they could retroactively prosecute every person that's ever jaywalked, sped in a school zone, smoked a joint, like whatever. And that's not something that you want. So, this is me shrugging. Ooh. Oh, blue key blast in my hand. So, anyways, I'm going to cut it short at that. But yeah, I mean, there's things happening, and I'm sure there's going to be a nice dog and pony show, but I don't know if it will be any more than that. I'm not trying to be a downer. Don't get me wrong. I want to see some shit go down, but I don't know if it's going to. So I'm just telling you right now, pay attention to it and see if anything happens or not, or if they just try and lull you into something else afterward. Because if that's what it is, then, I mean, maybe hot musket needs to take on a new meaning, right? Maybe, is that a secret code? You know? But that's what I'm saying, is that there's only so many more things that we can demonstrate and prove. Like, Vox and Vice both proved that the phones are listening for ad purposes, and we already know fully through other instances that the intelligence agencies and private companies or whoever has the money for it can buy your metadata, find out all your activity. They can even get a hold of probably like your home Alexa device and whatever, like those things that just, listen constantly. That's been proven. Like, it was just demonstrated. It was proven. And even the mainstream media outlets talked about it. So, there are only so many more things that can be demonstrated that prove that there is an inverted totalitarian system that we're living under. That, for all I know, is an autonomous, self-generated thing that we don't seem to even realize we've done to ourselves. It could just be that. Because there are times that you can definitely see the pattern, you can definitely find the players, and you can see what's going on and establish motives and things like that. But ultimately, the purpose and point of it will still be missing. And it's not maybe necessarily that it's just, it's a concept that's beyond you. That's like that ineffable will of Bob thing from Mostly Harmless. Like, any hard question, it's like, well, that's just you're not capable of understanding it, so just drop it. Like, well, yeah, in some cases that might be true, but in this case, I don't think it is. I think we may have just accidentally self-domesticated into the weirdest damn thing as a species. So anyways, pay attention December 5th through whatever that first day of Congress where they move things over to the Senate. It just seems to me that this is just all moving along according to the script. And if that is the case, we are all being played. That's the only way to look at it. There is no other alternative. There is no other way to spin it that does not involve ignoring established facts. So pay attention December 5th through whenever, when they do this Hillary emails or Clinton Foundation or whatever it is, that the bullshit spewers and the snake oil salesmen are going to confuse people on what's even happening, and in Congress will most likely be a toothless dog and pony show. That's just based on the established trends, based on the actual facts. That's what is indicated is to happen. If something else does happen, I'm not going to eat my hat because I need to wear that, but I will definitely state that I was wrong publicly. I'll make a video about it, I promise. So, let's see what happens, but just don't forget that it could just as well be pacification. So, yep. Signing out.